Welcome to the Wine Cage. I'm Dylan.
I'm Amanda.
And tonight we are drinking and reviewing, along with producer Wolfgang the Cat, the Fulcrum Yarra Valley Pinot from 2021, covered in a bunch of cat fur. So, actually, we were meant to be reviewing a different wine tonight, and this is the second time that we've been unable to review it for completely different reasons. We think that it didn't seal properly overnight and it tastes like absolute garbage tonight. So we didn't want to review it and not do it justice. Previously, we reviewed it and found out that the camera was not recording. So there's a mysterious cursed wine that we cannot get reviewed. And I'm sure there's going to be more on that coming later as we continue to attempt it. But we've had emergency step-in wine. What do you call it in plays when you've got the understudy? The understudy wine has joined us tonight, and that's this Fulcrum Pinot Noir. So we've had to review this at short notice, but slight spoiler, it's pretty good. But before we get into how it smells and how it tastes, as usual, we want to talk about the label. And this one's got a label. I mean, look at that. Look at the colors. Ooh. And the pink. There's so much pink.
So much pink.
Yeah. So what do you think about the label on this?
Well, I'm going to be straight up here and say that I don't particularly like it aesthetically. It's very...
The label reviews on our show are brutal.
Sorry.
Just so rough. I just want to be clear here that we don't judge the wine based on the label.
Not at all.
So because of that, we don't hold back while judging the label. The label part's just for fun.
And boy, do I have fun.
Yeah. Amanda just likes tearing apart the graphic design on wine labels, which is kind of funny.
This one just cracks me up because it's so, for lack of a better term, millennial. It screams of a lot of things that were super in vogue when I was studying graphic design around the 2010s. The neon pink, like 100% magenta there, so many of these typefaces look the same, but that could be Futura, could be Universe. And then, something that I personally just don't really love on a wine label, which is children. I don't think that wine and children go well together. That's just
children.
Me. Yeah.
Everything else was good about it. You ruined it with the kids.
I'm just saying, wine and kids, it's not a great mix in my book, but that's just me.
They're balancing on the barrel. They're like using it as a seesaw.
I see what they're doing.
It's called fulcrum, and that's a fulcrum. I had to Google that to remind myself what fulcrum meant. But yeah, sorry.
They're not drinking the wine, so that's fine. But look, this is all about my personal taste. It's not about whether something is objectively good or bad graphic design.
I like that you're worried about that they're mixing children with wine. Never mind the fact that would be the most unsafe setup. Put a plank of wood over a wine barrel, which is not level to begin with, and then attempt to use it as a seesaw. I don't think it would go like that. I think it would lead to instant injury.
That in itself is kind of millennial because I grew up doing that sort of thing, and I'm an elder millennial. Oh, yeah.
Playing seesaw on wine barrels.
You know what I mean. Just playing randomly with any junk in the yard, no adult supervision, no safety.
Did you have a little stick with a wheel that you tapped along?
I was just a little too young.
Did you have a little slingshot that you shot things with?
I think my sister did.
Yeah. Okay, so that's another scathing label review of the graphic design. But let's see how it smells and tastes. I guess firstly, we haven't had a lot of Pinots lately. We've been sticking towards the Shirazes and the blends and everything, and which is strange because it's been summer, so you'd think we would have been drinking some light wines, but for some reason we've been leaning into the heavier ones. So that was one reason why we picked up a couple of Pinots this time. This one color and consistency wise, it very much looks like a Pinot. It's quite transparent. You can see right through it. Quite a light color and, a light consistency as well. How does it smell? What do you think?
It's very dusty, very fruity. No kind of sweetness. It's sort of a very dry smell, isn't it?
Yeah, I find the nose on this one interesting because I have to admit, it seems to change every time I smell it. When I first smelt it, I was a little bit worried actually because it had that slight warning smell of a Pinot that's not going to be very good. I think from what I understand, Yarra Valley, I've done a lot of tasting in the Yarra Valley. I think Yarra Valley Pinots, they're difficult. I think in general Pinots are a difficult wine to produce, and so you get a big range from quite bad to quite good. And this one up front, the nose, I thought, it's got that slight sharp, sorry about this word, but for want of a better word, that slight pissy sort of smell. But I have to admit, as I've been sipping at it, it's settled down, and it does have a lovely fruity, dry, dusty, and to be weird, spacious kind of smell.
Spacious.
So the nose is actually quite nice. I think I got a bad impression just with the first whiff. So yeah, the nose is quite pleasant. How does it taste though? Let's see.
Firstly, like we've sort of said, it's definitely a lot lighter than most of the wines we've been drinking lately, which is a real breath of fresh air, and that's kind of how it tastes, like a breath of fresh air. It's a very summery, sort of very light kind of wine. I could imagine enjoying this over like a long, lazy lunch.
Yeah, I'm wondering if what you said about the whole presentation of this being aimed at a younger crowd, if that's true, because it does carry a very drinkable, sweet flavor, and not sweet in the negative sense. Sometimes if a red has been over sweetened, it really cheapens it and it tastes a bit nasty. This is not that. This is sweetness well placed in amongst a spicy, dry flavor as well. Are you getting that?
Yeah. It's sort of almost a bit strawberry-ish, but not in a gross way, not in a, alcopop kind of way, just in a sort of very summery kind of way.
Yeah, I think that's what I would want to stress here is it does not have that, cheap candy liquor taste at all.
It's quite classy tasting.
Yeah, it's actually really balanced, and, we're leaning into the copy on the back of the bottle here because Fulcrum balance, it's all about balance, but they really have nailed it with this one. It seems to just ride the balance between spicy, sweet, dry. All of that plays over your tongue as you drink it, and it just has a very subtle, understated, dry finish. I'm not really getting much tartness or unwanted, brightness to it, but it has all of the above. As we said, that sweetness and the spiciness. And I'm repeating myself now. So, yeah. You got any other thoughts on this one?
I just think it's very nice. I'm looking forward to drinking this with dinner.
Yeah, I think this is going to go well with food, and we're having a very spicy green curry. Is that a Thai green curry or is it?
It's Thai, yeah.
Okay, so Thai green curry tonight, which I have to admit the Shiraz we were having with it last night suffered a bit under the power of this curry. So we're hoping that the sweet drinkability of this will stand up better with the curry. Also want to note that with this, it's got all these beautiful flavors and it's got the dry finish, but it's almost thirst quenching, which you can't often say about wine. It feels quite satisfying to slug it, which is a danger, I guess. But yeah, I'm actually going to increase my rating on this from what I thought just before we started recording, and I think I'm going to call this one an 8.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So Fulcrum Yarra Valley Pinot Noir 2021, and although Amanda playfully ripped apart the label, at least it's novel. It doesn't look like a lot of other wines, and it tastes great. Price-wise, it was retailing at 22, so an inexpensive red, and I think we got it on special at 18. So I think its price point is appropriate. I think it's probably punching above its weight even a little price point-wise. So highly recommend the Fulcrum Yarra Valley Pinot Noir 2021. Thanks for joining us on the Wine Cage, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.
Cheers.